I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports Network and the host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. And you're watching Our Lady of Sports, Sonia Pearson, host of Prim and Proper Sports. Thanks for watching.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for another joining tonight with us, myself and Beastrilla here, Friday with the fellas. Beastrilla, good evening. How are you tonight?
I am delightfully well. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. Today is Friday, March 14th, 2025. We are halfway through the month of March. And guys, forgive me, I had some dental work done a day or two ago, and I'm struggling speech-wise. I'm still in a bit of pain, so Beastrill is going to be helping me tonight, and hopefully we're going to be joined by Kevin and J Train shortly, that we can all talk sports here. Beastrilla has his own show. Beastrilla, this is a perfect opportunity before we go any further. Shout out to Mac, Linda over at Northeast Professional Sports. Make sure you guys download the Roku app so that you guys can catch sports 24/7 without the cost of cable. You can find them on the Roku channel. Now, Beastrilla, you have your own show. Tell everybody about that show and how to find you, because you're now also on a regular basis as well.
Yep. My show is One Ass Cheek, Three Toes. It's a plug-in for Dan Campbell when he was giving a speech to the Lions, just to clarify that name. So people are like, what? My show basically deals primarily with the local sports in Detroit, mostly the 4 pro teams, the Pistons, the Red Wings, the Lions, and the Tigers. However, I do go outside that band to national sports as well, just to make sure, because, without national sports, you can't have your local sports not be mentioned. You know what I'm saying? So I do that. And on Sundays, I do an exclusive Lions podcast at 4 p.m. with my co-host Nate the Great and Jay. We dig deep into the Lions signings and draft, what we think we should have draft. Any Lions news whatsoever we have, we share that with the folks. And we do have from time to time different people on the show from different organizations. So
yeah, that's so funny. And so thank you and congratulations to you for that. So sorry for the interruption, guys. Jay Train and Kevin are saying they're back stream.
Yeah.
Back. Do you see them?
No.
Okay, that's why I said
I probably couldn't see them anyway. That would be you.
They're on They're on the wrong stream.
Probably wrong stream.
I just told them that they're on the wrong stream. Hang on, because I don't see them. Let me just make sure. This is so crazy. Hold on, guys. Oops. All right, here we are. Let me let him know he's on the wrong link.
Oh, that's the wrong one you gave him to.
Is it?
Yeah, that's mine actually.
Oh. I'm so sorry, guys. So let me go back to the first one I pinned, which should be
the one that ends in CYIB.
Oh my God.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Jesus. Yeah, here I am. Hold on. Let me go back. I'm so sorry.
You're good. We're going to need to get together.
All right, guys. We're live. So let me try to get them straight. They'll be in shortly, guys. I shared Beastrilla's actual link to people that we're in a group chat, and so that's what happened. I saved it as well. So hi, Jeffrey. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope you're doing well. I know you're ready for the draft. Beastrilla, the draft is like 5 weeks, 6 weeks from now. I mean, we talked about it like
about a month from now.
A long time, but it's been so much movement going on in the NFL world. It's almost like the draft is going to be a moot issue at some point. Like now, as of a few minutes ago, looks like Cooper Kupp has found a new home.
Cooper Kupp has gone to the Seattle Seahawks on a. Bear with me one moment. I'll give you the direct details of that.
Yeah, 3-year contract.
3 years, $45 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks did need receivers because, they lost DK and they got rid of Lockett. All they have is Njigba and Noah Fant as the tight end. So they don't have too many playmaking receivers outside of that. So
Hi,
good.
J Train. Please blame
What's
it
going
on
on?
the drugs. I'm so sorry. I sent you guys the wrong link.
That's okay. That's okay.
And it looks
Yeah,
like
me
we
and
got
Kevin
the
was in the
purple
back.
limo. Huh?
Oh, we good. We good.
And guys, before we go any further, J Train had a birthday less than 48 hours ago. So happy birthday to him. Happy 50th
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I
now
don't know what
welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AARP is for me.
I'm not. So listen, they've been hounding my social media since the end of January when they realized I don't even have the year of my birthday on my platform, on my profile. They've been harassing me and I will not click the link. My brother is 3 years older than me. He said he has been ignoring them and he's not even on social media, but they got some good discounts. I'm like, when y'all start putting people on the commercials that look as young as I do, then I'll see about joining them.
Well, AARP does have access to your Social Security. That's one of the benefits that AARP has. So they know when you turn a certain age.
I know,
It
but how do they notify me on social media?
Man, you lucky. They were going after me once I turned 45.
Yeah,
They're like, you old now. You old now.
Yeah, I think I got something in the mail at like 47. I guess Kevin gave up joining us. Let's see. It's hard to get him on as is, so he's looking for any excuse not to come on. Especially now he said it's not. Hold on.
I came on through the one Brian sent, Kevin.
Oh.
Yeah, I sent that out there, Sonia, because I know you were going through some things. So
oh my God, my mouth is hurting so bad. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys, because I'm starting to hurt a little bit. I'm gonna let you guys talk about the all the comings and goings, and I'll chime in as I can.
Okay. Well,
so
Brian, if
yes,
football
sir.
if we're going to talk football, we see all the different things that are going on right now with free agency. It's been a whirlwind. And we're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Clearly, he's still the biggest news right now. Whether or not he's going to come back, or he's going to sit on the couch, or look like the Steelers are making a play for him to bring him in to play with those two big wide receivers that they have down there. What do you think about that?
To tell you the truth, I don't think he's the right fit for Pittsburgh. I think they should just go ahead and bring Russell Wilson back in there. They already signed the MVP. That's what my guy that from Pittsburgh likes to call him, the MVP. They already signed him, so they got a backup. So Mason Rudolph, that is. And so they got him. They don't really need if Rodgers comes back. The Vikings been trying to get at him too. The Vikings are the best spot for him to go offensively. He's got two great wide receivers. He's got a heck of a tight end to throw to. His offensive line has been revamped. The running game is pretty stable. I don't see the reason why he would go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's offensive line is malaligned. You got two diva receivers. The tight end is probably about the only thing solid you have is in Freiermuth. But in the running game, they just lost Najee Harris. So they really have no running game. They got Gainwell in free agency. So I mean, they're off, and then they got Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator. So hell no.
Oh, Kevin, you taking the strays before you even get on the show. Well, look,
he knows that. That's why I ain't there no more.
Right. I think I agree with you regarding Russell Wilson. He should be the one to come back. And I think I didn't realize that Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf had a bit of they have something in common here. The DK Metcalf just recently got engaged, and Russell Wilson and his wife Sierra are the ones that actually put them
Set it up.
together. They met him set him up at a blind party,
Yep.
a blind date at a party. And so, look, I mean, there's some connection there, and I think there could probably be really good chemistry there. Russell's a little bit younger. He still has this big moon ball, and those are prime passes for the type of receivers that they have there, George Pickens and DK Metcalf. So, yeah, they're going to need to do a lot of that deep ball throwing because, like you said, their offensive line is like Swiss cheese, and they don't have a real good running game. They're going to have to pick somebody in the draft, I think. And look, Aaron Rodgers just needs to sit on his couch. He does. There's no quarterback in Minnesota. There's no quarterback in Minnesota.
I don't think he's a good fit for Minnesota. I think they are. Well, I don't know. They won't like. Without having to put in my personal beliefs about Aaron Rodgers, because you guys know how I feel about him. I feel like Minnesota is in a win now mentality. The NFC North has been extremely competitive. So they have to have somebody that's been there before and that can get them into the win now category. And with teams like Detroit in the NFC North, the Bears doing all the moving around, they're getting, including getting Grady Jarrett now on their defense. And the Bears are trying to pivot back to being a defensive-minded team. I think that we're looking at there's no other fit but Minnesota. I mean, who else really needs a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber?
Well, like I was telling Jay, they have all the offense in place for him. It's really a no-brainer. If he does come back, he should go right to Minnesota. They got Justin Jefferson and Addison, Hawkinson. They had a rebuilt offensive line. They don't have a bad running back in Aaron Jones. So, I mean, it's really in place for him. He can't fail. I'll put it to you that way. If Sam Darnold could make it in that offense last year, Aaron Rodgers can. He's still a capable quarterback. As messed up mentally he is, he's still a capable quarterback. So, I mean, he does that. That makes Minnesota. That makes Minnesota kind of a contender right there.
Yeah, maybe this will be a learn for Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he'll use what happened in New York as a learning curve for him, like as an example, like, okay, I have to really be present for this team. I have to really, mentally, physically, and in every capacity be a part of this team. It can't be the Aaron Rodgers show and then everybody else. It has to be a collective group of men who are playing together and basically becoming part of each other's lives, because you have to literally be a family to play in this game. You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to show up at practice or I'm going to show up on game day and play. You have to cohesively be together in almost everything. Like you guys brought it up, Russell Wilson set up DK Metcalf, and, Russell Wilson and Sierra, your wives, your significant others are all part of this world. And so there's no other way for him to be. He can't be off somewhere, planting mushrooms or sniffing mushrooms or, snorting them or whatever he's doing. He has to be part of whatever franchise gives him a choice. And let's be clear, he's not 100% healthy coming off that Achilles. He's also getting older. He has to be more humble. He has to be in a position that, okay, this is probably my last ditch effort to play in the NFL. Because what you don't want to happen is you don't want him to not be chosen. And now he's out. He's home. Because we've seen it before. We've seen it with Colin Kaepernick. Once you kind of fade off the scene, unless you're a Joe Flacco or somebody that's just known for rotating, you're not going to get called back in. And if he goes home, maybe he gets a reset. Okay, he goes home for 1 year. He gets a reset. Somebody gives him a chance. But the likelihood of him coming in as a starter, as the starter for the team, not a floater, not a backup, are slim. Because how many times do we see someone come in as a starter unless it's for an injury? From home, like who gets called from home after leaving the NFL? Not very many quarterbacks.
It's rare.
And J.J. McCarthy's still dealing with his injury as well. They don't think he's going to be able to start the season because he had to go back and they had to clean up some stuff that they missed in his first surgery. And that was I think that was in December they did that. So he's got another 6 months of rehab to do. So they don't know if he's going to be even available to play quarterback in the beginning of the season for Minnesota. So that's the other thing you got to look at.
And on that note, if I'm Minnesota, I'd be a little concerned that this is my rookie quarterback that hasn't played a dime in the regular season, and already there's some injury concerns there that may be long term. So that's something to be mindful to watch out for, and maybe that shifts how they look in the draft. Maybe a second or third round draft pick for another quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And on some other news, wow, I'm pretty sure, Sonya, you heard the shock take from Dexter Lawrence in Dallas, and how he got his contract and saying that look, you can do my home is in Dallas, everything's in Dallas except the opportunity to win a Super Bowl, paraphrasing there. And then of course Michael Parsons had to chime in and say there's some jealousy going on there. I don't know what the situation is in Dallas, but I'm not surprised by the take, and I'm not surprised by the back and forth. That's just a big clown show, and Jerry's World is nothing but a big circus down there. And so this doesn't surprise me at all. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think Dexter Lawrence was right in saying what he did. He has a lot of Dallas players also following him on that situation too. They said, yeah, you're right. Micah Parsons is the only one trying to save the face. Micah he's I really love Micah when he came out. I was hoping that the Lions would get him. We got Penei Sewell instead, but he started off as a very good. It's like you get a podcast. Some of these guys get a podcast. They just lose their mind. And that's what Micah's doing. He's losing his mind. So he's a good player, but dude, your team sucks. Seriously, you got Jerry Jones running it, and he's destroying it basically because he doesn't want it. He's stubborn, and you can't see Micah, that.
Micah doesn't want to mess up that bag. He's about to get paid. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he don't want to mess that bag up. And I'm not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't want to mess that bag up either. But I agree with you, and I agree with what Dexter Lawrence said. I mean, and like you said, some other players are following them out of there, or alongside the same thing. But yeah, what do you think, Sonya?
Yeah, and congratulations to you, Jeffrey. He got promoted to manager for Food Lion. Congratulations.
There you go.
Big things. I believe that Dallas is an absolute mess. I mean, I wish Tip could have joined us tonight. Mike Tipton is going to be joining us occasionally as Friday with the Fellas. We're growing. We're always looking to grow the NFC. So if you now you got to come on here knowing what you're talking about. Like you can't just come on here and just, oh, my team this, my team this. You got to know NFL at a minimum. You might not know hockey, boxing, and all the other stuff, but you got to know some sports. Like I need people to help me know what I'm talking about. And these guys are amazing. These are my brothers. And so you got to be part of the family. But anyway, Dallas is until Jerry Jones relinquishes control of this organization, this is just a comma. Every season is a comma for them. There's no period. There's no question mark because we know what the answer is. It's loss after loss after loss after loss. And they did right when they were 12-5. That was as best as they could do. They made a fatal decision, and I'm saying the word fatal, by appointing Shopping Center. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Schoppenheimer. Shopping Center, the offensive coordinator, is now their head coach. I mean, that right there let me know the fact that you have an older owner, and I'm not being discriminatory. I'm just saying he does not know what's going on as far as management. He's just the owner with money only, and he needs to cut the apron strings. I get, making sure your money is where it's supposed to be, but you need to have somebody in place that can help you with knowing what's going on. Let me just put a small plug in. David Tepper is not as old as Jerry Jones. In fact, he's close around my age. However, David Tepper was highly involved in the Panthers, hiring, firing, everything, recruitment. He was too involved, and it showed. the morale of the fans went down, the morale of the players went down. We went through like 9 coaches within like 3 seasons. I mean, it was crazy. You couldn't have a coach 6 weeks before somebody else was being come in. He finally cut the apron strings. The morale has increased. He got Dave Canales, excuse me. Bryce is looking better because he's backed up. He comes to the game and supports, and that's it. Jerry Jones does not do that. He needs to take a page out of David Tepper's book. I mean, talk about the young teaching the older. However, that's not the only problem they have. That's just the surface problem. The depth of Dallas's problems is that trickles down from that is firing Mike McCarthy as if he was the real reason when you got Dak Prescott on the sidelines hurt the entire season. You go out, they're grasping at straws. They go out and bring Ezekiel Elliott back as if that's going to be the saving piece. And Ezekiel bust. He's a bust. He's not even there anymore. Then you get rid of Michael Gallup. Was it Pollard? Gallup, one of those.
Gallup.
Should not have. You're in a bidding war with CD Lamb financially. And it's just gone down to a horrendous turn real quick. Now that they have shopping center, like the fact that they didn't even try to get somebody in to better them, you didn't even try to go out and you didn't even try to go out and get a real coach. You promoted your losing offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinators get promoted when they win. This team was not winning. And then you rob poor Trey Lance out of his bonus by forfeiting him starting the last game. He had only completed like 30% of his snaps. He needed 55%. Well, correction. He performed 2% less than what he needed to get his bonus. And you shafted him out of that. Nothing good is going to come to this team. This team is now not America's team. They are the America's jester, as in court jester. They are the joke of the NFL from not only the management perspective, on the field, the players are a mess. I don't know what it's going to take for Dallas to get back on point, but it won't be this year. It won't be this year with Shopping Center. I just don't see it.
It all starts at Jerry Jones, though. Jerry Jones is not God forbid, because I don't wish anybody to pass, but that's probably the only way that team is going to get better is if he passes, because he's not going to give up his power. He's not.
That's sad. He's
not going to do it.
He said it. He said he didn't spend all this money 40 years ago to just give ownership to somebody else. I'm like, dude, you're like, I don't bring politics into it, but you're like Biden right now with the Cowboys. Like, you're not doing anything.
Well, what I'm going to say is I agree with both of you on your sentiments. I just think, look, right now Dallas is in shambles. They probably don't have a good head coach, and the guy that they picked. I think look, Jerry Jones is very strategic. He might come off as a blowhard. He might come off as somebody who's just very selfish or everything's towards him. I mean, he's egocentric. You don't get to be a billionaire and build up this kingdom like with being stupid. So I think he's very strategic. I think what he's trying to do is break everything down and start ground up. I think they want to get back to to the beginning. I mean, let's go back to right where we started, where we had Troy Aikman, and that was it. And Troy Aikman went 1-15, and then we build from there. But the only problem is you don't have a draft. You don't have a Herschel Walker that you can trade to Minnesota and accumulate so many first round draft picks and so many different, players that you can acquire. But I think right now they're in a soft rebuild. They're in a soft rebuild right now. And
they're in a hard rebuild. The soft is over. The soft is over.
Yeah, but they let go people like Dexter Lawrence, a liability with money. He wasn't playing up his. I mean, he could say what he wanted to say. He still. I mean, it's always three sides to a story. His side, and the truth. And so Dexter Lawrence hasn't been good for quite some time now, and so that they had to let somebody. You can't just be taking a paycheck and not doing your part. So I mean, yeah, they're probably not going to win a Super Bowl there, but you're probably part of the problem as to why you're not going to win a Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, moving on away from Dallas, because we could talk about them, and we'll be having this. We almost should just record this segment and replay it next year this time, and just don't even waste our time talking about it. It's gonna be the same exact wording, except hopefully Dak is not hurt somewhere.
Well, we know Cooper Kupp has been cut from the Los Angeles Rams, and had a few suitors trying to find him, and finally he landed a spot another place. We just got off the subject of Dexter Lawrence going to Seattle. Cooper Kupp also went there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's from some city near Seattle.
Yeah, he went to school in Washington State.
Yeah. Yep. And so he's got a 3-year, $45 million contract, and that's probably where he's going to retire. Look, Cooper Kupp had 2 great years. He had that one explosive year where he almost had 2,000 yards receiving, and he was the Super Bowl MVP. And then after that, things just started sliding down for him. I mean, it was mostly because of injuries. He played 12 games last season and had about 700 plus yards and 6 TDs. I think he still got something left in the tank to be a guy, maybe a possession receiver. He still runs excellent routes. That's the reason why, he was successful. He wasn't the fastest guy, but I mean, he could play the game. He understood the game, and he played with an excellent guy, coach in McVay. So we'll see what happens up in Seattle. I mean, what do you guys think?
Cooper Kupp was balling out. I had him on my fantasy for a while, and he was amazing. I think this is a redemptive stripe from him to be able to go and reset somewhere new back home. Clearly, he's going to be able to get some familiar support from his family. They're going to be able to travel to the games, those, fam cousins or whatever that he hasn't been able to have at the games across the map. And I'm excited for Cooper. I mean, I'm a little shocked that he was cut. It's like this whole off season. It's almost like Brian Breestrilla here. I mean, his thumbs and fingers have to be numb. It's like every 30 minutes somebody is being traded or kicked off, and so he's just like, okay, this person's gone. And speaking of, the Falcons are trying to get rid of Kyle Pitts. I mean, Pitt is over, but Strilla, what do you think about Kupp leaving?
I think really it was more of a need for Seattle. They needed it. Just happened to be the right thing for Kupp because he was, like I said, he went to school at Washington State, and it was the right fit for him. They needed a receiver because they're, like I said, they just got short of 2 receivers. They let go of one, and the other one they traded. So and they got Najigba, and he's a very good. He'll be a number 1. They'll be a good receiver, and they got Noah Fant as a tight end. They got a basically pretty good offense going for them. I think they also revamped their offensive line a little bit too. It's just that Sam Darnold is going to be dealing with a whole different kind of offense than he was with Minnesota. And this is the reason why we're going to see what he's made of for this 3-year project that Seattle signed him up for. So, I mean, hey, Cooper Kupp got, he got a nice little payday, and he's in his home state, and he can help Seattle. Those years, mostly he is concussed. So as long as he doesn't lead with his head when he's trying not to get tackled, I'm sure he'll be fine. That's all he needs to do.
You brought up a good point. And J Train, I know you're probably about to segue into the next part. And thank you guys so much for helping me, host this stuff on tonight. So I, keeping the conversation going. I appreciate that. And hopefully I'll be better soon with this mouth. But you brought up a really good point. The fact that Sam Darnold's in a new, era again. Now, he went to Minnesota and looked totally different than he did in Carolina. Carolina, he got 5 wins. We were happy about that. But once Christian McCaffrey went down, we weren't able to deal with, the wins anymore. And then Sam himself got hurt. But he looked really good in Minnesota. It's going to be important to look at, does he carry some of that with him, or is this a whole reset and he's got to learn, the way to be out here? I mean, can he pick up where he left off basically with a new franchise?
Well, look, Sam Darnold showed why he was picked number 3 overall when he got to Minnesota, but you have to attribute that to the quarterback whisperer and Kevin O'Connell. He didn't have anybody like that. It's more an indictment of how good a coach and how good a quarterback coach that Kevin O'Donnell is than how good a quarterback is of Sam Darnold, just by evidence of his track record. Like you said, he went to Carolina, he was with the Jets, he's with San Francisco. He just didn't have the opportunity. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. He had the opportunities, he just didn't take advantage of his opportunities until he got to Minnesota. And with that said, hopefully whatever Kevin O'Connell gave him, it just sticks with him. Some of it that sticks with him when he goes, because I mean, ultimately he still had to play on the field, regardless of what Kevin O'Connell does. Sam, the talent is there. So maybe it was a confidence level. Maybe it's a combination of not having offensive line, a good scheme. Hopefully he has a good scheme when he goes to Seattle. I wanted to mention to you, they also have Marquez Valdez-Scantling as well from New Orleans.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. So he's got a good group there. I mean, don't mind you, 2 of them on the other side of 30, Cup and Scantling, but Jackson Smith and Jigma is the man. That's why they let DK go, and of course Tyler Lockett as well, who was also on the other side of 30. They're going to need a good running game as well. And of course, as you saw the last couple of games in Minnesota for Sam Darnold, they knew how to rattle him. They knew how to get him, in that offensive line and put pressure on him. And that's where you saw a shook Sam Darnold, and all that great season he had was almost all for naught, because obviously they were taken out in the playoffs in the last game of the season. They lost the first opportunity to Detroit. They lost an opportunity to get the number 1 seed. And so with that said, he's not getting a whole bunch of money. He's getting a good sum of money, but guaranteed money is about $60 million. That's about, I would say, just slightly above average for a quarterback, and I think that's right where he deserves. And so hopefully they get the good Sam Darnold that was in Minnesota that will help Seattle turn their ship around.
Well, again, I like to say too that a lot of that help from him being successful in Minnesota was Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, a good, a better than average offensive line, a good running game. I mean, he had the weapons there. That's what I say. When Aaron Rodgers comes there, it's going to be just as better. It's going to be better than what Sam Darnold has. So the failure of the success rate going to Minnesota to be a quarterback is way high. Now you're going to Seattle, where yes, Njigba is he's a good wide receiver. He's probably one of the best wide receivers in the league right now. I mean, he had a phenomenal season last season. He was actually the number 1. I don't care what nobody says. DK wasn't taking that role. And Noah Fant is a very good tight end, but he's not Hawkinson. Cooper Kupp, you like Cooper Kupp, and Scantling, he drops a lot of balls, and I think this is the reason why he takes his NFL tour around the league, because he doesn't know how to hold on to the ball well, and that's the reason why Kansas City let him go. But other than that, if he can start catching passes, he might be an asset. Kupp, of course, he's the veteran there, and he runs very crisp routes too, so he should be fine. But like I said, the offensive line's not the same as it is in Minnesota. You don't have the talent level that you do in Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see what Sam does. And I do think it's kind of idiotic to me that the Vikings let him go. They just needed to tweak a few things, which they did during this offseason, the offensive line being one of them. They did tweak the offensive line. But then if you're talking about getting Aaron Rodgers on your team, why? You're going to have to pay him a whole bunch of money anyway. You could have paid that $33 million a year to Sam Darnold and still got to, still been successful. I'm not understanding how these teams are working now. It's funny. I love it because, this used to be what the Lions used to do, but now it's other teams doing it. So it's great. I love seeing that destruction.
Yeah, it feels like it's all the
Sorry,
time.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it feels like it's musical chairs, because it's even come out that Christian McCaffrey, Denver has an interest in him. And I'm like, okay, Christian McCaffrey's from Colorado. Him and his brother, and I think his dad, saved
Played in
some
Denver.
guy. Yeah, saved some guy on a mountain there a couple of years ago when they were skiing. Like, this dude almost died. It made national news. Christian McCaffrey. By the way, congratulations to Christian and his wife Olivia. They are pregnant with their first baby. So excited for them. They just got married, and she's, been battling some health challenges. So she was very vocal about saying she was shocked that they were, had conceived so quickly. So congratulations to the McCaffreys. And so it would only be fitting. We see it all the time, new wife, new baby, new team, it could happen. And
Right.
I don't know if he comes back to the 49ers with double injuries like that. He's been injured every season. He was really worn down in Carolina. And in fact, he played his first year with San Francisco with no injuries. And we were like, oh, okay, it's clearly the fact that that's a complete offensive unit that he did not get injured. But now he is injured. And let's be clear, most players play through a lot of injuries on a regular basis anyway. We just don't always know about it. And now he just played until he basically couldn't, if he even comes back in the same capacity, because having an injury in both legs is pretty significant.
Yeah, he's got degenerative
Mm-hmm.
symptoms in his legs. So the doctors would say he shouldn't even be playing football in the first place right now.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't think that I think that he should just retire. I mean, would you rather go out in a blaze of glory and have both your legs broken so you can't walk anymore? Or would you rather be, when you have this child, you'd be able to bounce him on your knee? You know what I'm saying? It's those kind of life decisions that you have to make. And I don't think he should be playing football anymore,
But he
especially
doesn't
not with a
have,
degenerative.
yeah, he doesn't have not 1 year left in him, because the way they described it, it could snap both of his legs. And I mean, we've seen some horrific leg injuries. Insert Alex Smith with the leg break that was very visible.
I mean,
Uh,
what is the disease? What does he have again?
Oh, the degenerative. I don't remember the name of the actual disease he has in his legs,
I'll
but
tell you
it's
about it.
yeah,
Hmm.
degenerative.
Wow. Wow.
And then he said he shouldn't be playing.
Hmm.
Degenerative
Period.
myelopathy.
There you go.
Myelopathy.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
It's
he may be on the verge of
onset. The
retiring.
onset is progressive. It's a neurodegenerative. So not even necessarily the legs themselves. This is in the brain, and so now the brain is going to shut off communication. Basically, it's a disease that affects a lot of people. It comes from the cerebral spine. It comes from your spinal fluid. So it's a lack of it. Let's see. It's called. He initially suffered from posterior cruciate ligament. Was his initial diagnosis. He had a knee injury and PCL, and this was during the team's 35-10 loss against the Buffalo Bills on December 2nd, 2024. And so now they're saying that he has the onset of this degenerative disease that basically is not going to allow him to recover 100%. That's tough.
Hmm. That is tough.
Yeah, it's like if it's a neural disease that goes to his legs. That was the most important part of that neural disease. So he can lose feeling in his legs. So if he's running and his legs just give out, it's because he lost feeling in his legs, and that's the reason why they don't want him to play football anymore. Obviously it's his decision ultimately, but I wouldn't be if I was in his shoes. Heck,
The irony is his father, who played for the Broncos in 2002, had 69 receptions and 903 yards, but he got injured himself, and it caused him to retire February 29th of 2004 because of the injuries he had in the 2003 season. So sometimes it's just genetic, it's just doesn't fall far from the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's unfortunate, man, because he's a hard worker and he's a talented athlete. And so to see something like that happen, you're still sort of in your prime. you don't want to, mentally that's deflating. I can only imagine someone who's going to look for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth opinion.
Yeah.
Thinking, no, I should still be able to play, but like you said, D. Strella, that if someone's telling you that you shouldn't play, wow. I mean, don't get
He
me wrong.
had
I'm going
he
to get those opinions.
Yeah, he
But yeah,
had
I would definitely.
he had bilateral Achilles tendonitis. That's how it basically starts. Inflammation in both tendons of the legs, and
Mhm.
basically it affects both of his Achilles. And he missed the start of the 2024 season because of this, because he was seeking treatment all the way in Germany. He went to Germany to get treatment for this. And then he suffered the PCL that we talked about on his knee in December, which will require him to be on IR, which he was on IR for that. Um, and then his dad talked about it. I'm trying to see if it talks about him ongoing. I don't see, I think I may have misspoken about the other injury because I don't see a link to that, but this PCL is pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much going on right now with his body. I mean, even if he gets 2 or 3, and he's gotten a couple more, opinions about his health, and they keep telling him, dude, don't do it.
Yeah, and a little small update from Kevin. He texted and said the phone he's using is an iPhone 4, I guess, and so he can't.
What?
4.
An iPhone 4?
The way it's
He
the way it's behaving, and I hope he watches this. He can't seem to log in. I don't know. I think but he claims he's going to be here next week. But we know that he's not going to be here next week. We know he's going to say he's working because he never has 2 weekends off in a row. So I don't know what's going on. We tried to add him multiple times. And hello to Pink Fanfare. Thanks for joining us, Sissy. Thank you for all the promos and
What's
the
up,
love.
lady?
You guys shout her out. She's on as well and has her own YouTube channel and stuff. And we thank you for everything. Happy Friday to you, Pink Fanfare. Yeah, I mean, all right. So we got some more jumping around. Y'all, this hour goes by fast. It's already 9:43.
Yeah, let's just talk.
I got one thing to ask too. So Myles Garrett came out yesterday or today and admitted his frustration and says Browns can be winners. Okay, I have a problem with this because, dude, I need to win a Super Bowl. That is my legacy. Then all of a sudden the Browns give you a bag, and then all of a sudden, the Browns can be winners. Man, if you don't shut up.
With who is the quarterback?
Right. With who? That's what I'm trying to figure. Cleveland? Come on, man. You don't even have a quarterback right now.
Deshaun is done there. If they bring him back this year, I'm going to be shocked.
Okay. Well, I guess Cleveland
Garrett
did kind of help him out.
He had 123.5 million reasons to say what he said. And that tells you that anybody can be bought, all of us.
Yeah, because he wanted out of there. He wanted out of there.
Oh, he didn't want out of there. He said, look, they said we're gonna make him a Hall of Famer. He said, no, I'm not trying to win the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to win championship. And so virtually, he was just posturing.
The Panthers were linked to talking to him. I don't know how.
There's a whole bunch of teams that were linked to talk to him, but at least Cleveland said, Cleveland said we're going to go out and get you a Super Bowl quarterback, and they did that. They got Kenny Pickett.
That's what I'm saying. With who?
He was a Super Bowl quarterback. He was with Philadelphia. He didn't play. Well, he did play a couple of games, but still, that's their Super Bowl cookies. Hold my beer, don't get me.
If I'm going to be miserable, I'm going to be miserable with a whole lot of money in my pocket.
Might as well.
4 more years, why not? You set yourself up for life. The highest paid non-quarterback, I probably would have taken it too, and I would take all the flack and all the smoke that comes with it. 123.5 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't think I would probably even at that position. I don't think I would even have said anything, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I probably would have
Right,
made my notions known to Cleveland. I wouldn't have went outside of that. I would say, look, if you guys don't want to win a championship or not serious about winning the Super Bowl, you're wasting my career. Take me to somewhere that has a Super Bowl. I wouldn't even came out and said anything to the media or anything. I just told the staff, hey, the front office, hey, do something. Or if you're going to pay, just pay me. If that's what's going to do, I can sit on my butt all day and collect, 10, 11, 12 sacks a season and help you out, even if we're not going to win anything. So just pay me.
Pink Fan First talking about CMC headed to Radio Nation. That's not confirmed. They had an interest in him. We were talking about CMC's injury and the likelihood of him coming back at all. And in fact, Denver was talking about bringing him in, not the Raiders. It was like some rumors yesterday, but they're also talking about, as of 4 hours ago, that Denver is wanting to give him $127 million to Christian McCaffrey to come back. So, and everybody, the Broncos fans, are calling for the team to trade for him as of yesterday. So I don't think he's going to.
127.
Yeah,
that's a big mistake. I don't know what is wrong with these teams.
the Steelers are looking for him as well.
One good game and he gets 100 yards. Okay. And then he's out for the rest of the season. What is wrong with these teams, man?
Yeah, the Steelers are interested in him as well.
What's
And
up, Tip?
look who just joined us after we just wrapped up all the Cowboy talk. Hello to you, Tip. Thanks for joining us. You're going to be joining us here soon. All right, let's keep it moving, fellas. We got a little bit more news to talk about. James, you were trying to bring up something real quick, like.
Well, I guess still on the NFL, but in the NFL draft, the news about Shedeur Sanders and all the flack he's catching for not having such good interviews, being considered someone that's brash and arrogant. Look, I want a quarterback. If it's me, if I'm a GM, I want someone that's going to have a crap load of confidence. I want somebody that's going to be able to stand in the fire when things don't go well. Because, I mean, look, if he gets taken in the top 5 or top 6, he's definitely going to have to do that because most of those teams are crap. Everybody, if you're drafting at the top 5, you're not a good team. If you're drafting in the top 10, you're not a good team unless you took the draft from somebody else in a trade. Mm-hmm. I just think that most teams probably don't like his father, and they probably don't like him himself because he's successful. He earned what he got. I mean, look, he's not just like lean on his father. The kid showed that he can throw the ball, showed that he can play the position. I mean, on different levels. He said it. He said, look, I've gone to teams that were like 1-15 prior to, and we brought success to those teams. And I was, my father was there. I was there as well. And I think it's really just disingenuous for some of these people for someone to come out anonymously and say that he's brash and arrogant, and also to not show yourself who you are and say, look, and stand on it like a real man. To not stand on it. I think it's really not a good thing. It's really soft. But I also think that it may be just a tactic so he can start falling to the team that wants him right there. So I've seen that before. So that's likely what
they do that every year. They do that every year. They either hype up somebody that's not good. They hype them up to the top so some stupid team will take them, or they talk down to a guy that's really good and they make his stock drop so it falls to them. This is what it is for me. This is what I'm seeing. I'm not saying Shedeur is the next coming of Lamar Jackson or anything like that. I don't know what his quarterback status is going to be like. I really think this is a weak draft in the first place, and there's like a couple of players from each position that are really good, and then the rest of them are just like they're fill-ins. I don't, everybody's talking up. This is like the Dart situation. The quarterback Dart, he's getting talked about a lot. So his stack is rising. His stock is rising. Nobody's saying too much about Cam Ward, but Cam Ward solidified basically wherever he's whoever drafts him. And so drafts are funny in the beginning because everybody's trying to jockey for position. and trying to outsmart the other organizations. And it's just something you see all the time. If you ever watch a movie that extrapolates that kind, watch the one with Kevin Costner where he's the GM for the Cleveland Browns. That shows you a lot. Yeah, that shows you that. I mean, that's real live stuff that happens at drafts. People get bamboozled, they get sucked into something, and then they just throw it back in their face. I mean, it happens like that, and it's just the true to form how the draft. That's what it's called. So, I mean, like I said, this is just a ploy to get him knocked down so somebody in the lower tier can get him that are a good team, actually.
I mean, but they really are. As a person who has been highly critical of Dion since he went to Colorado, like Jay Train and I've been on the show for over a year now, and you may have checked out some of the shows too, B. Strilla, but I have been openly vocal about just not a fan of all the fandom that comes along with Dion and his showmanship. I feel like it's too much for these kids. I feel like, he mixes it with enough humility so that most people don't notice that it's really over the top. Because he'll do something like, talk about God or, read a scripture or something and try to like offset it. But for me, I just see right through all that. Anytime you got a show and you got all these rappers that's never been to Colorado before, now they all got, Colorado jerseys, like they've been fans of the team this whole time, not just come to the game and support it. I'm all for that, but now y'all got jerseys, now you got license plates on your cars on Instagram. I'm like, dude, this is your first time even visiting Colorado. How are you a fan just because of the coach? You're not really a fan. You can't even name 10 players, and so you're not a fan. You're just, a bandwagoner. And so once they started losing, we saw some of the fanfare die down. And this year, I guess after the prime effect kind of wore off a little bit, they played really good football. This year, I went ahead and gave them their props because I was like, you know what? They do look really good. They've gotten a lot of wins in. They got out of their heads. But some of that stuff was rubbing on over to Shador. Tom Brady had to go out there and tell him, hey, dude, you need to be looking at the playbook instead of during halftime. You doing selfies and doing tags on TikTok for your merchandise during the game. Like, there's no humility. And trust me, I know, because when the Panthers were undefeated, they were doing pictures and stuff too. And, it's an insult when you see the other team doing pictures, and dabbing and stuff when the game is still ongoing. It's like, we're just here so we don't get fined. Like, we ain't got nothing to do but take pictures and post them. But besides all of that, they weren't even winning, and they were doing all of that at that time. So now I just don't think there's a team in the NFL, maybe the Raiders could put up with that would be, because let's be clear, it was rumored or it was said that he spoke with Tennessee and he had his dad on FaceTime. Like, he just couldn't have a sit down meeting with management, with the coaches or whatever, without having your dad propped up on the phone, being very, informative and involved during the process. And I'm like, okay, I get it that you've been your son's BFF and you've held his hand through everything, but he's not learning how to ride his tricycle now. He's a grown man. And so you've got to cut the apron strings on this one. You've got to let go. You've got to let him make his own decisions for the first time ever. And I think, honestly, it may have been detrimental that he played for his dad, because in playing for his father, he's never come out from under that shadow on his own. And this is going to be, talk about acclimating to the NFL from the college world. Everybody else already has to acclimate. You imagine you're literally living on your own for the first time, so to speak, at 20 something.
Look, I think some of what you're saying I agree with. But what I've seen, some of his interviews that he has had by himself, especially when I saw him in an interview with what's the former quarterback? What's the quarterback's son? Chris. That the guy that quarterbacked the Giants in the 80s and late.
Chris Sims.
Chris Sims, and I forgot the other guy he co-hosts with on their podcast. But they sat down during the draft and interviewed him. I was really impressed with Shador's interview process, because he really because one thing about some of these shock takes and these takes that they put out there about people, a lot of them are just that. There's no context. There's no context about anything. And so you got to, with the interview process of him sitting down talking to them, they had very in-depth questions asking him about himself, and he was just very candid and honest about different things, and it got to show you that there is some humility there, and there is a great deal of confidence about who he is, and then to not only just have confidence and not just bravado, but he's laying down facts about what he's done, what he's been able to accomplish, and say this is why I believe I'm the best quarterback in the draft. And he said that. He did say he was the best quarterback in the draft, and I personally, I think he is. I think he is the best quarterback in the draft. But I think people don't like you saying that. I think people don't like you saying that, and they don't like you wearing watches showing in front of their face, telling you that. I think that's part of the issue, and a lot of it's just older brass. A lot of it, wants to make sure that this quarterback coming in and he's going to follow what we say and do, and I think he is, but he's also going to be competent. One thing I heard someone say about him, and there was a guy that knew him closely. He was a driver. Let me say this because we only got 3 minutes. He said that he was the driver of Shador for the whole weekend, and there was Chris Carter, the receiver, said he was in the front, and he said he talked to him. He said this kid I'm very impressed with this kid because he's like sort of like a CEO. He had everybody in check. He was doing what they were supposed to do, and he was timely about whatever it is he needed to do. He said, "I'm very interested to see what his success is going to be because he looks like he's got it." And so that's all I want to say about that.
I mean, like I said,
I said, he can have plenty of people. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry, Trilla. And I literally said, like I said, he can have anybody food. The guy can play. Yes, we are very aware of your, of your talent, sir. But when it comes down to the NFL, you cannot be a newer version of Aaron Rodgers coming into this league. And that means leave your daddy in Colorado and don't make it the Shador Sanders show. This is not the Shador Sanders show. This is Shador introduction to the NFL. Welcome to the team, and let the team embrace you. As we get a wrap up, Strilla, your closing thoughts on this one.
Well, I mean, what do you expect him to say in the first place of like, I'm the best quarterback in the draft? I think I hear that at least 2 or 3 times about somebody's position every draft. I'm the best receiver in the draft. I'm the best corner in the draft. I mean, I don't expect any of these youngsters to say anything less because that's the confidence that they have in themselves. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think a lot of things too have to deal around the fact that Dion is hand walking him through stuff. People don't like that because of certain things that have happened over the course of history in sports. The Ball brothers, LeBron and Bronny, Peyton Manning, Archie Manning, he's not going to play here. He's going to play here. That kind of stuff. They don't want to see the parents get involved with professional sports. That's cute on a college and a high school level, but in professional sports, that's when you become a man. That's when you have to, fight for your own. I think that's what a lot of people are taken aback from. They don't like seeing that. They don't like seeing parents helping people out. No matter how famous they are, let the kid do the work themselves. Stay out of their business.
Absolutely.
And I understand Dion has a hands-on, and like I say, it's hard to say that at the same time because these parents care about their kids. And it doesn't take away from their parenting ability. They're just there for their kids. I mean, they all have the right makeup to say, hey, I want my kid to succeed. So I'm going to make sure I put them in that area to succeed. And that's what they're doing. So
that's what they're doing. And guys, that's our time for tonight. We're actually a little bit over. We appreciate all the likes, loves, and comment. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, Prim and Proper Sports. This show will re-air at 2 a.m. on the Roku Network on Northeast Professional Sports. And Jay Train and myself, and probably B. Strilla will be joining you guys on Sunday morning on the Sunday Morning Big Sports Show. And join B. Strilla at 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon for his show, 1ASS Cheek, 3 Toes. And guys, with that, we're going to bid you all a good night.